Hi guys, welcome back to the Anfield View. It's Paul. Hope you're all keeping well. Yes, Man United 3, Liverpool 2. This is the match reaction. Hope you're all keeping well. Yes, sadly, as my in one hand, my fear that we would lose did sort of come to fruition. It was looking a lot bleaker when we were 2-0 down after what 14 minutes. It looked like an obliteration was going to happen, and sort of the same as really playing Man City this year. Uh, where do we start then, guys? Really, a pretty horrific start to the game, wasn't it? Obviously, the very fact that Isak got himself injured in training, although 1 minute he's training great and looking great, and the next minute he's out injured again. Not a great start to proceedings, is it really? Um, Yeah, obviously talking points. We played Jones at right back today, and obviously put McAllister in. Question marks, obviously McAllister all year, but I'll come to that in a minute. Just another slow start, really. Once again, we're not great. I mean, we've got a running theme this year of just constant, just coming up the trap so slow. And we tend to play a little bit better in sort of between the 45 to sort of 70-minute marking games and then tailor off towards the end of them. I can't put my finger on why. I mean, there's question marks on the fitness, there's question marks on the tactics, there's question marks. I don't know whether we go out to ease ourselves into games deliberately and almost to play at a methodical Dutch style pace. Um, it just very much feels that the way we are structured in terms of style, in terms of tactics, and I know it started really like that last year, but obviously for the very, I suppose for the first half of last year where we got the majority of our good performances and good wins, it was okay because we're getting the results. And then, as we all know, the form since pretty much January, February last year, all the way through to now, it's pretty abysmal, isn't it? So yes, 3-2, 2-0 down pretty much straight off the bat. I mean, I think to be honest, when I look at their goals, I think the first two are very much defendable. And whether it's second, I mean, it crosses in or it's second balls not being cleared, I wouldn't say either of them were anything great in terms of the goals. I definitely feel that we could have very much stopped both of their two goals. They almost were too easy. But even the one with deflected off McAllister, slow to come out. I think the keeper still could have saved it, but I don't want to be harsh on sort of poor old Woodman. He's not Allison, for example, but I think Allison would definitely have saved that. But equally, you can't blame him ultimately, and I can't blame the club either when you've got a third choice keeper playing. So a horrific start to the game. Pretty much didn't really turn up at all. There wasn't really much fight back in that first half. Second half came out of a better mentality, got gifted a goal, obviously, by Man United to make it 2-2. A very good goal by Soboslai. Seemed to sort of waltz past their defence, but very, very good finish, by himself. The second goal was just Man United giving us a Christmas present, wasn't it? Essentially, we didn't do much on like a couple of good passes, but let's be honest, the keeper made a ricket, and yeah, 2-2. You still at no point you very much felt we were going to go on and win it. I mean, I would have taken a draw, but what are my reactions? Like I came into it with very low expectations. I felt that it was a type of game that would, based on everything that's happened this season, we probably would lose it. In one hand, like the theme of my previous videos has been very much they've been working a bit harder, a bit more focused. The mindset's been there, but once again, the structure's not there, the style of play's not there, the tactics aren't there. We have gaping chasms in terms of the sort of holes within the team. The fitness blatantly isn't there, the speed isn't there, the strength isn't there. And so you are going to be fundamentally limited as to what you can achieve when you've got so many problems. The real issue with where Liverpool are at moving forward is that it's not just buying two or three players in the summer. I think ultimately, yes, if we get two or three of the right players, it won't be as bad. But equally, the questions really do raise themselves. Are we going to get two or three of the right players, or are we going to get two or three technical players? My fear has always been that we were going down the Dutch style. And I remember when Arne Slot came in, the overall pitch to the fans was his style is very similar to Jurgen Klopp. And his style is nothing like Jurgen Klopp. Let's be honest, it's a Dutch style of playing is what he's aiming for, and it's not in a million years going to work in the Premier League. And we are doomed to next year being absolutely horrific again and a waste of money this summer if we're going to go down this rabbit hole. I'm hoping that the club are listening. I'm not listening to myself. I'm hoping that the club are really fully understanding that. Look at the history of Dutch style football in the Premier League. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You have to have at least a hybrid model. And it's very easy to come back and say, oh, yeah, but Man City is like Man City spent billions and got the world's best players, the world's best manager. Arne Slot is not Pep Guardiola. Got the world's best players. And even then, still had a little bit of a hybrid version of what's required, to try and help compete in the Premier League. This team is crying out for a defensive midfielder. It's crying out for pace, power, speed. It does not need any more technical players added to it. God knows we're carrying enough technical players as it is. We've got major question marks. There has to be huge question marks on what we do with Alexis McAllister moving forward. He looks like Fabinho all over again. Looks like literally he's had the entire season to get himself fit, and he's no fitter or better now than what he was in October. If anything, as the season's gone on, he's got worse. Just being brutally honest on that, guys. I've not seen one improvement from McAllister throughout this year. We've maybe had one game sporadically here and there. I'm not singling him out because there's a whole lot of problems, but he is punching at about 5% of where he was at last year. I would argue he for the last 2 years he along with Salah, our most important player. And this version of McAllister is almost unrecognisable. It really, really is. If we were to get offered 60 million in the summer, I'd bite your arm off and keep Curtis Jones. And I'm not even a huge Curtis Jones fan. I'm just saying that if there's a choice between keeping one or the other, if you want to raise money, go and sell McAllister. His legs have gone. I'm not saying he can't be successful in the Liga. It's a much slower, more technical league, and he may well be phenomenal. But just bear in mind, it's a completely different style of play, and that he is not. He just can't compete. He can't get around the pitch. I'm not saying he doesn't have elements of skill. Us trying to be a technical team, but with not the superstars to pull it off in a league that requires at best a hybrid version of technical married up with the speed, the power, the strength, the mindset, all these different elements. I've just got a very, very, very big fear that Liverpool are trying to go all in on slot style, and we're I don't think we're so far down this rabbit hole that we have to just keep just going. I think put the brakes on. Let's get a hybrid version. If Slot's willing to accept that whatever style he's trying to do needs to be a hybrid version, so one version of what's required to compete in the Premier League, married up with technical powers, then I'm okay with him staying. If he ultimately is stubborn and doing a Ruben Amorim and he only has one way of wanting to play, and he's nothing like, I'm not expecting him. First of all, he's not Jurgen Klopp. He's got about 20 years of football experience that needs to prove to be at Jurgen Klopp's level. So he's not even comparable. But equally, he needs to be able to accept and also Richie Chews and Michael Edwards that They need to understand that. And Mike Edwards especially, knows what's required in terms of the skill sets and the attributes and the players that we need to compete in the Premier League. And we're looking at a sharp dose of what life is like without Jurgen Klopp. Look, I will never take it away from what Arne Slot produced and his I wouldn't say relaxed approach, but his sort of less training, slight tactical tweaks, only plans a certain amount of 14 players. All those different things that he brought in last year worked for that one season. But ultimately, only playing 14 players or 15 players last year burnt players out, got players injured. From January onwards, we fell off a cliff. This year, half those players now can't perform because of how he did that. He refuses to use at least three or four players within the squad training. Only Endo when he was fit. Gomez doesn't get as many minutes as he should play. Rio doesn't get as many minutes as he should play. We're going to be overcautious based on Stefan Bacecic and Jaden Dans and Cade Gordon. In all due respect, part Jaden Dans and Cade Gordon because they barely played for the first team ever. And so I put that over there. Conor Bradley's been injury prone since he basically picked up boots for Liverpool. That has nothing to do with his minutes for the first team. And so I would much rather look at what happened to Raheem Sterling, Michael Owen, Suso, Jordan Ibe. There's numerous players, Luis Alberto, so many players. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Steven Gerrard, Jamie Carragher. Look at all these players that have come through the youth setup and played at an early age and had phenomenal careers. The majority says it's fine. We've gone into this 2026 version of everyone has to be overprotected, wrapped in cotton wool, and it's just like, come on already. I mean, I generally felt without Isak today, Rio really should have started the game personally. I don't know what we're waiting for. Ultimately, I really just don't know what we're waiting for on that front. That being said, guys, look, in one hand, it wasn't a drubbing. In another hand, we still lost. What's that, 11 Premier League losses this year? 18 losses over the entire season. I think that's right. Three losses to City, embarrassed in two of them. Three losses to City, two embarrassments. Two losses to Man United. One loss to Chelsea so far, still one left. Essentially an abject season. The style of play has been non-existent from pretty much day one of the season to now. There's been no style, there's been no plan, there's been no structure, there's been no entertainment. I struggle to find one uptick outside some magical Szoboszlai goals, the occasional glimpse of what Verts truly is, and the odd glimpse of Isak as well. And so where do we go really moving forward? Well, we go on to the next few games. Then we've got Chelsea up next. The lunchtime kickoff on Saturday. Must-win game to secure the top five. Then we roll on to Villa. Villa may still need a win at that point. Who knows how sort of condensed the Premier League is. So you've got Chelsea, Villa, and then finishing off with Brentford. So let's try and finish this season off with some degree of performance. As I say, I'm not going to lambast the team for today. Look, it's symptomatic of the entire season. I put in the thumbnail title, as predictable, as predicted. Is predictable. It's just no shock to anybody that we lost today. Frankly, it would have been more of a shock to me if we'd have won today. It'd have been more of a shock if we would have put in a performance I've not seen all season. Today was just the same old performance, same old problems, same old issues, same old excuses, same old. We're going to roll into the summer, and if we keep the same manager, we're going to have the same problems because he has his philosophy. My only hope is if for whatever reason the club decide to stay overtly loyal to Slot, then he is going to make some adjustments because we are absolutely 100% doomed next year if he stays and doesn't adjust his style of play. And we badly need the right people in terms of buys and transfer this summer. As I say, I would keep Jones and sell McAllister. I think he in terms of what he can do in the Premier League. I'm not saying in general he's 27. It's nuts for me to say it. I get it. If you'd have told me last year I'd be saying this, I wouldn't have believed you. His legs have gone flat out gone. It ain't going to get any better. He's got to go to a World Cup for Argentina. There's probably more likely you're going to play the vast majority of it. Going to come back shattered again. He ain't going to be a better version of this next year. It's impossible. We've gone all season waiting for the real McAllister to turn up. It hasn't turned up. It ain't going to turn up next year. It's just a fact. We had to face it with Fabinho. We're going to have to. It's just far more early than where we're at. We have to essentially cash out on McAllister, take the money. For me, I would keep Jones, put him into midfield. We still need to get a defensive midfielder. I'm just praying we don't go and buy yet more technical players. The last thing this team needs is more technical players. Sure, we need skillful wingers with pace, absolutely. And if they had the mentality and attitude of a Mane, that would be amazing. But there isn't 15 of those types of wingers around. But we do need some players that have got really some points to prove, that have got a lot of physicality, they've got a lot of spill, they've got a lot of raw attributes and a lot of room to grow, as much as real desire, real sort of work ethic as well. We need to have some more of that in the team. We're way too soft, way too easy to play against, way too predictable. It's just fact. Go through and look at all of my videos. Essentially, outside of Everton, I've been able to predict almost every single performance and every single result. I said on the last video, if I had £1 million, I'd put it on Man United to win. Breaks my heart to say it. Really breaks my heart. But I'm not somebody who's just going to blatantly say we're going to win, and that looks stupid when I fundamentally just can't see a way in which we can. And today, look, fair play to us. We showed. Well, Man United helped us get back to 2, let's be honest. But then equally, our defending was rubbish on their first 2 goals. For credit to them, their third goal was a good move and a very good finish. I'm not going to criticise us for that. That was not something I want to do, but you have to say it's a very good move and a very good finish, very controlled finish into that corner. As I say, I think Subsidize was a good goal. Other goal was gifted to us as a present. People will. Ultimately, people will want to cling to the excuses. Some people I've only ever seen us win a Premier League sort of once or twice, in their lifetime. Or look, we've only won 2, so it doesn't say much, does it? So for the vast majority of people, because they've only seen us ever win a Premier League once or twice, then they feel like we have to be indebted, to this manager forever, because we've only ever done it so often. Then you just can't have that mentality. Whilst we have had mitigating circumstances, equally it doesn't excuse the entire season being as bad as what it's been. No adjustments, poor use of the team, awful tactics, the fitness. Half of the week I'm hearing that Liverpool are resting players, they're on holiday, they're having breaks, they're doing this, that, and the other. It was like, they've been rested half the week to prevent them getting injuries, yet they turn up on the weekend unfit. We must be the most unfit, slowest team I've ever seen of Liverpool. I'm sure I heard today that Liverpool are on pace to concede, or maybe already have, the most amount of goals since Graham Souness's team in the 90s, when he took over, obviously, from the Dalglish era. Look, I've lived through that. That was an absolute farce. We've almost done the same. We've literally walked down the same path. Graham Souness has even admitted himself. He came in, he got rid of a lot of great older players way too quickly. He tried to do too much too quickly in terms of change, and it wasn't. The only reason it didn't look quite as bad, even though it was bad, we didn't need to do what we did. And he recognises that all these years later. He says it's his greatest failure was the fact that he did do that. And yet we're doing the exact same thing. We're letting Robertson walk out the door when we're still playing him towards the end of the season. No, I think Kirkus may have a slight injury problem, but we're still playing him. He's still playing as good as anyone else is playing in that defence. It's just truth, isn't it? We're in a weird situation with Jones' contract. He's playing every game, yet we're in a world where he wants to leave. Yet, in fairness, he has a very valid point that he should be playing every week. Ultimately, whether you love or hate Curtis Jones, Curtis Jones is playing better than Alexis McAllister, who's playing every single week. 1 out of 10 games, you're getting the real McAllister. 9 out of the other 10 games, you're getting an awful performance. It's just a fact. And I'm not saying Curtis Jones is not Fabinho, Wijnaldum, Henderson, Milner, Alonso, Gerrard. He isn't any of them. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, nobody's Steven Gerrard or Alonso or Mascherano, and those. Yeah, that was the best midfield in the world when we were singing that song. But let's really be honest about this situation. It makes far more sense for us to fight and keep Jones in and have him in the midfield. He's at least got some element of youth and energy about him. He hasn't put that many miles on the clock. Look, we still badly need a defensive midfielder with energy. He could protect our defence. And boy, do we need that. We've got Leone, is it Jacquet? Leone, Jacquet, and Canate looks like he may be signing a contract at some point, and a very old Van Dijk. But we badly needed a very good defensive midfielder. Yes, I get it. Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, not Chelsea because they have two of them already, or three of them. But Arsenal, Man City, Man United, everybody wants one. But it has to be top priority along with a winger for me this summer. So yeah, 3-2 guys. I wish I could give you more sort of joyous things to cling on to, apart from the fact that, look, we've only got 3 games left. If that doesn't cheer you up, nothing else will. 3 games left. Hopefully, we find ourselves in the top 5 for Champions League. Let's be honest, I only care about that because it gives us some degree of hope we may actually repair the damage in the summer. If we, if I wasn't so aware of Liverpool's finances because it's tied to our success and our business model is tied to our success, if I wasn't so worried about if we don't finish in that for X amount of money, then I wouldn't be so stressed on it. Ultimately, and Liverpool fans have become goddamn experts on the finances of football. Even look, I've worked in football and I've worked in the marketing, the business side of football, and I get a lot of it. I understand the vast majority of it. But equally, the very fact that the average fan has had to become a financial expert in football to understand whether there's any hope in terms of Liverpool achieving anything sort of sums up the situation, is it, guys? So all in all, 3-2. You can't argue really with the win for Man United. As I say, when we were 2-0 down, it looked incredibly bleak. It doesn't make any difference that we lost 3-2 in the end. But a fair play for them for actually showing the heart and fighting for the badge in the second half. You have to ask questions as to what on earth was happening in the first half. Where was the mindset? Where's the determination? Where's the setting the tone for the game? But frankly, we've been so bad in almost the majority of first halves this season that the problem is that falls on the manager, doesn't it? Motivation, mindset, setup, tactics, fitness, all of those fall on the manager. Ultimately, whoever he has as coaches that help coach the team are hired by him. The fitness people are hired by him. The fitness of the players is down to him. The tactics are down to him. And whilst we all can sit here and see the gaping gaps with the playing squad, and yes, that's not all on him, that's down on the club structure, but equally it is down on him because at times this season when we've had 17 players fit, he never bothered playing Endo, never bothered playing Gomez. So be great to hear your thoughts, guys. I'd say we roll on to the next game. Let's hope we get a performance against Chelsea. So, yeah, soon enough the season to be finished. That's all we can say, isn't it? Onto the World Cup on that front, guys. So the summer will reveal all. Will Slot still be there in the next season? I don't know. As I say, I would like him to leave and Alonso to come in just so I can, frankly, almost say thank you very much for winning the title slot. This season has just gone wrong from in every which way it's possible. And unfortunately, you don't have the tools in your bag to be able to repair any of what's happened this season. And it isn't just as simple as we're missing personnel. it is also the fact that we've not seen any improvements made. We've not seen any tactical adjustments do anything. We've not really seen much motivation, really improve performance. We've just not seen anything. We've not seen enough of the other players used at times to help ease the workload for other players so they may be fit for other games. It, whilst there will always be the big cloud that is Jota and the mindset element, and there is factors that nobody could predict Mo's performance this year and Isak's freaky leg break in obviously around sort of December time, but that can't explain the entire season. It just can't. At the end of the day, we haven't seen any improvement from day one this season to the end. And that is the biggest indictment I can say for this season. If you're a big slot in fan because he won the title this year, that's what I would say. There has been no improvement whatsoever from day one of this season to the end of this season. 11 losses, the most goals conceded since 92? It says it all, doesn't it? Ultimately, today was a very predictable performance. It's a very predictable outcome. And as per normal, you pretty much can predict when Liverpool are going to turn up. Most of the time, it's at home games. You can predict when they've got a better chance of winning than not. And usually, the vast majority of tough games we end up losing. Unfortunately, on that, guys. So I hope you're enjoying your bank holiday weekend. Look forward to speaking to you more soon. You take care.